So now No, I think it's personal issues, which I was not nosy and I didn't.
Okay, they were tough, you know.
Oh, yeah. What's
So,
Noting a time of 1 o'clock. Getting feedback. Testing.
yeah, I think that's mine. There we go. My fault, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Noting a time of 1 o'clock, I'd like to call the committee of the whole for February 25, 2025 to order. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Hearing none, I move to approve as presented.
Support?
Moved and supported, conversation. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Next item would be approval of the minutes of the February 11th, 2025 committee of the whole.
I move that we approve the minutes for February 11th, 2025, May of the whole meeting.
Or,
Moved and supported. All those in favor, yes?
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried. We are at our first public comment of today. Is there any public comment?
Can I make a public comment?
Sure.
Okay, on behalf of residents who've been asking me, if any conversation has gone on with the sheriff's department for a report to the county on what was mentioned at our last meeting about domestic violence coalition and, any immigration issues. So have we talked to the
Yeah.
sheriff?
We did talk to the sheriff,
Okay.
and I'm gonna let John just give an update as to what the sheriff's position.
Oh, okay, so that could be later.
No, right?
I had a conversation with the sheriff, and as you know, he's a duly elected official that does not report to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
And he said, if any individual or groups have questions specifically, please reach out to him directly. He'd be happy to take their call and meet with them and answer their questions. But his preference would be to do that rather than come and give a presentation.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. So I will let the residents know.
Okay, very good.
All right, thanks.
Any other public comment? Okay, as you can see, we're short a few commissioners today. And Paul will be joining us in about 10 minutes. So I would like to delay the presentation until he is here. That's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so we'll move on the agenda and we'll come back to item number 6 when Paul is here. So the next item is number 7, Administrative Affairs, Gail.
Okay, the confirmation of appointments to the Van Buren County Parks and Recreation Board. And Lisa Ransford is here, our Community Services Director.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The Parks Commission has had several appointments over the past year. Being a new committee, there was a little bit of a mix-up between appointment dates. So we would just like to have one final confirmation so we know when everybody's dates are being served and everyone's on the same page. So that is the result. This recommendation is a result of that.
Okay, so I will make the motion to approve the current members and respective terms as follows. And do I need to read those off? They're posted.
Yeah, I don't think we need to just move for adoption.
Okay, I move for adoption.
Or moved and supported. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried.
Okay, thank you for staying. The authorization to accept warranty deed from Jason Meacham of Meacham Properties LLC for kayak launch on the Paw Paw River in Hartford Township.
Again, from the Parks Commission, they've been working several years on a grant to create a kayak launch, ADA compliant kayak launch on the Paw Paw River. We have obtained the grant. It's been accepted. We've done the survey, we've done the split, and now we're ready to accept the property and just need approval from the county commission to initiate the deed.
Is this property being donated by the?
We're purchasing it for $1.
Oh, well, same thing. Okay, any conversation on this?
I may make one comment.
Sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, that one of the key components of this is if it ceases to be used as a kayak launch, then it reverts back to Mr. Meacham.
Correct, yes.
Or reserves. But there were reserves. Well, hopefully it stays a kayak.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the trust fund, it has to be guaranteed for a minimum of 40 years. So anything beyond that would perhaps engage that.
I would move to accept the warranty deed from Jason Meacham of Meacham Properties LLC for $1.
Support?
Moved and supported. Conversation. And one comment, our farm, we've worked with a lot of different subcontractors over the years. And for probably now, past 8 years, we've worked with the Meachams, and it's been flawless. And they are good community supporting people. And this is just another example of the type of people that they are.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see this. Any other comments? All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, now we have CJ to come up and talk about our IT service agreement with the Paw Paw Police Department.
Good afternoon. A little background on this request. So since I started, and as far as I can tell, 5 to 10 years prior to that, Van Buren IT has been providing support for the local computers and networking infrastructure at the Paw Paw Police Department. So I've looked back in the history and I can't find any type of agreement or billing history that dictates, any terms of service with that support. So what I'm requesting here is authorization to correct that and enter into an agreement as I proposed in the supplemental documentation that outlines the services we'll provide, provides a payment structure as well as some bill back, a structure for billing back on services, software we provide, as well as set a term date of 3 years. So as it's outlined, from what I could tell, a block of 100 hours seems to be appropriate as far as covering their support. That block would be paid annually for $5,000 for that block of 100 hours. Any additional hours over that 100 would be billed at $50 an hour. I took those numbers based off of some past total compensation reports with an average kind of weighing on the lower end of our scale, because a lot of the work that comes in is more desktop based, and our tier 1 and tier 2 guys take care of that. So again, really just outlines the structure that's already been in place, sets up the expectations that they can expect out of our service, and then also puts in place measures that can allow us oversight with a little bit of authority on software that's on their workstations as it is attached to our network.
How many police departments?
So they're the only ones. Yep, correct. In the past, there were a couple more. The relationships, right as I was coming on board, they'd either ended before I started, or they ended shortly after I started due to change of leadership at those other places.
Where are they going for service?
There's private providers. A large one is, they've changed their name a couple times now, so I can't remember exactly what it's changed to, but there's local MSPs, the managed service providers out of Kalamazoo. That tends to be the common one.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd just like to make a motion. I'd like to move to approve the request and forward it to the March 11th Board of Commissioners meeting for final approval. That's for the 3-year agreement with the flat rate of $5,000 per year for a block of 100 hours of support and additional support hours beyond the block of $100 will be charged at $50 per hour as needed.
Support.
Moved and supported, conversation,
Make one comment?
certainly.
Thank you. This is for the benefit of Commissioner DeStefano. If you're listening, he asked me a question about whether or not this has been run by our insurance carrier, which I did, and they said there's no problem because it didn't pose a whole lot of liability risk. In addition, the village is also a client of MML as well. So I did just want to make that point for Commissioner DeStefano.
Any other conversation? All those in favor say yes.
Yes,
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
thank you. And then the out-of-state travel request, MSP training, and Susan Swider. Are you going to?
I will
Speak
fill
for her.
in, excuse me, this is not an annual thing, but maybe a couple of times a year, the prosecutor wants to use the drug forfeiture fund to provide training for Michigan State Police, and that is her request for an officer to go to training. I have the date in here in late March, I believe. I haven't read it in a couple of days. Yes, the end of March to go to Texas. And that would be paid out of the drug forfeiture account.
Move to approve.
Support.
Supported, conversation. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, we'll go back to item number 6, and that's our presentation of the Van Buren Youth Initiative quarterly report.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for
Hi.
having me. I'm Erin Kuharski. We've met a couple times. I'm gonna wait. They're gonna pop a presentation up real quick and then I'll get started. Maybe. There we go. All right, so again, my name's Erin Kuharski, and I'm here to represent the Van Buren Youth Initiative through the Van Buren ISD, and I am giving the first round of the quarterly reports for the ARPA fund allocation. So the first thing that you're going to see in the report is a breakdown of our costs, the budget totals, that is the whole total of the budget, and then it's broken down by how much we've spent and then funds remaining. And so biggest thing that I want to talk about with this, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, is that we are not on track to spend as quickly as we wanted to, but we've put some things in place, and I'll talk about those in a little bit to ensure that we do spend the funds in the amount of time that we need to. So just wanted to touch base on that. So next, I want to speak on some key highlights of how the funds have impacted our community. So we have 2 primary partners, and that is with South Haven Center for the Arts and Luke's Light. South Haven Center for the Arts is currently offering 3 days of programming. When I wrote the report, we were offering 2 days with the hope to expand to 3 days, and that has happened. And then Luke's Light, they are operating 1 day a week, but are expanding to 2 days a week in March. In an effort to expand programming and to help the communities, because we haven't quite figured out the transportation piece, we've been offering pop-up after-school programming, and we've seen really great results with that. So yeah, so we're offering right now, in partnership with Bronson Healthcare Group, we're doing an 8-week cooking class that started in January. The reason why we picked cooking, we did several surveys, and that was number 1 for what students wanted. And the class filled within 48 hours. We offered 10 seats to students. It filled immediately, and we had over 15 students waiting on a waiting list to get into this class. So then I had a group approach me in Bangor through Simpson United Methodist Church, wanting to do something similar, after school programming for our students. I reached out to them. We've met a few times, and they agreed to do some programming at Bangor. We were going to do it at the church, which is located in Bangor. But again, we have a transportation issue. So Bangor High School has been very accommodating and has allowed us to work in their home ec classroom, which has eliminated the transportation piece for many of the students. In both of those programs, we are seeing students from the schools that we're offering at, so South Haven and Bangor. But what's really cool is we are seeing students from across the county take advantage of these programs. So we have students that are doing Michigan virtual schooling that are coming to our programming. We have lots of homeschool students coming from our programming. We have a Hartford student going to Bangor for our cooking class. And the first week for our Bangor class was last week. It was a terrible snowstorm. We were worried we were going to have to cancel classes. And actually, again, we capped the seats at 10. We had 6 out of the 10 students come with terrible weather. So I'm going to count that as a win. And so things are going really well in our programming that we're able to offer. With our partners that we're kind of doing the work before the youth initiative came in, what we're seeing is increased attendance at both locations. So at Luke's Light, you can see a breakdown of the attendance. So in September, we had 37 students. October, we had a little bit of a lull at 31 students. But in November, you can see a strong showing of 45 students. I've been in communication with the vice president, Lee Shinkariel from Luke's Light, and she said that they're seeing even higher numbers in the months that have came after November. So South Haven Center for the Arts on Tuesdays, we have a rotating medium class. So some weeks it's portraiture, some weeks it's needle felting. We have an artist that comes in and teaches a medium that they're passionate about and students can learn from an expert. We're seeing 6 to 7 students, but that is growing. I don't have the official numbers since I did this report in December, but I know that the numbers are stronger. And then on Wednesdays, we have a open studio. So we have a fantastic teacher, Sarah Rydecki, that comes in and teaches that. It's an open studio concept, so students can take advantage of all different types of mediums that are laid out in front of them, and they really lead themselves. But as they need help, Sarah steps in and guides them. So when I wrote this, we started in October with 12 students. By December, we were at 18. We are showing 27 to 30 students consistently on Wednesdays in that class currently. So it is growing exponentially. They did now we do offer a Thursday guitar class at South Haven Center for the Arts. That started at the beginning of February, and again, strong numbers, 8 to 10 students regularly attending that in a short amount of time, which is really great. Some of the ways that we are going to continue to support our partners, when we created the agreements on how we would work together, the agreements were through the school year, so September through June, and then we would recap in August and continue. But because we're not quite on track with our spending, and because it's a mountain that we're climbing, so we're creating all of this and growing it quickly, we are agreed to extend the resources and the funding through summer to our South Haven Center for the Arts and through Luke's Light based on the budget that we created with those partners. And we can go on to the next slide, please. So I did want to highlight a large milestone for not only Van Buren Youth Initiative, but the county, and especially for Luke's Light, they were able to purchase a building. So the building is located in Paw Paw, right next to the middle school. It's fantastic space. I've been in there. I've been able to help. And I think that this is a key reason why we're seeing an increase in numbers with our students. There's space to do it and to have the students there. So it's been a really great milestone for the community and for Luke's Light. So I wanted to highlight that. So I want to again talk about our challenges, and then I want to talk about the solutions that we're working towards. So main challenges I'm seeing: ensuring sufficient programming days to meet budgetary requirements. Again, we started before the funding was given to the Van Buren Youth Initiative. The programming that was happening was either happening 1 day a week, or not at all. And so it took us a little bit of time to build where we're at right now, and now we can continue to build from that to then use the funds to affect our students. Increase family awareness and engagement. Again, it takes time for families to figure out what's happening, but I'm confident in saying they figured it out and they're bringing their students to us. Gaining recognition and support from programming from local school districts. Again, just explaining what we're doing and who we're partnering with and how we're doing it. Addressing transportation challenges to improve access to programs. And then we temporarily halted a partnership due to resource constraints. So we were partnered with the YDC. We paused that partnership to just kind of regroup and figure out how we can move forward. It's not an end of partnership. It's just let's take a break and let's see how we can move forward in that. Some of the solutions that we've put in place. So the purchase of Luke's Lights building has helped increase numbers and will help increase days. Now that they have their own space and a staff to do that, they can add days to the program. We're working to find classes to help fill those days. And just as the youth initiative we're here to support them in what they need as they grow and move forward. Providing the funding through the summer for both of our partners at Luke's Light, South Haven Center for the Arts. We're partnering with Bronson Healthcare Group. That has been super helpful with our cooking class to increase numbers and visibility. But the Bronson Healthcare Group is a pretty big entity within Van Buren County, but especially in South Haven. And so through that partnership, it has helped us reach families and tell them more about what we're doing and what our partners are doing. Launching new programming in Bangor 1 day a week. This is focused primarily on our home economics. Again, a way to reach families, to show them what we're doing, to get them in a classroom with adults that want to be there with them. Working with South Haven Center for the Arts to add additional programming days. We added 1 additional programming day, but we're always looking to add more. And then meeting with leaders in transportation to brainstorm solutions. Something I'm actively doing, and we have actually been able to add transportation for our South Haven High School or South Haven Public School students to South Haven Center for the Arts, and for our program that the cooking class, it's located at the high school in South Haven, and our students at the middle school in South Haven are able to access transportation to then get to programming at the high school, and that has worked out great. And we're accessing the public transit to do that. They've been a great partner. And it's been just a really great way to move kids to get them where they need to go. So, and I'm ready for the next slide. So I want to talk about some of our upcoming program highlights. Again, when I wrote the report, lots has happened since then, which is great. You can see that we're moving forward quickly. So the beginner cooking class in Bangor, that started last week, strong numbers. I didn't say this, but I want to highlight it. When I opened up signups for that, we had 10 spots and they filled within 24 hours. So you can see that there's a want for these programming to happen. So February, we are offering that 6-week cooking class. In March, we start a Lego creation and stop motion programming, and that's happening at both sites here in Paw Paw and at South Haven Center for the Arts. So at Luke's Light and at South Haven Center for the Arts. In April, we are offering comic book and ninja creation. In May, we are working to do creating media with a purpose, and that is a partnership with our teaching artist Aubrey Rogers, but then also Public Media Network out of Kalamazoo. And so this is a really cool opportunity for students across the county to work with some really awesome technology. Public Media Network is allowing us to rent all the cameras and the editing software and all of that, and getting it in the hands of our students in Van Buren County. So I'm very excited for that programming. And then of course we have our continued programming that happens every week. So on Wednesdays, we have the 3 levels of guitar at Luke's Light. We have 2 different types of art classes that happen at Luke's Light. And then we have our percussion that happens at Luke's Light. And then on Tuesdays, we have that rotating class at South Haven Center for the Arts. Again, it just depends. Sometimes it's needle felting, sometimes it's portraitures. And then Wednesdays, we continue to have that open studio. And now Thursdays, we have guitar classes for students. So I'm ready for the next slide. I did include a couple just things that families have said. I did print these for you all to take if you'd like to read them. There's some snippets in there, but I just wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to hear what the community is saying. I would like to read just one thing that I think is super powerful at the end. This is from a parent whose daughter started at South Haven Center for the Arts. And it's just a snippet that I think is really important. I'm just a mom to a girl who has started life being told she would never live and then she did, was told she would never breathe and then she did, was told she would never walk and then she did, was told she would never eat real food and then she did, was told she would never focus without medication and now she does, was told that her energy would be too much and now it's not. This kid has overcome more obstacles in her life than most of us do in ours. She is a determined child, but easily discouraged and distracted. Art is what changed her learning. Art changed the way I teach her. Art has opened the doors that I didn't know were possible. Art has helped her brain slow down. It helps her see results of being focused. I never would have thought that Izzy would be able to sit for an hour and do anything. And after 3 weeks of art, she was able to. And now a year later, that focus has moved onto baking, shoveling snow, raking leaves, sewing, learning to play guitar, doing a word search. Art gave her the confidence to fail and the self-approval to be proud of when she succeeds. She compares herself to others less. She is willing to try anything more often, and most importantly, for the first time, she is eager to learn. Art, I never thought that a simple 3-letter word was so important. Art truly changed my daughter's life. I can only imagine that there are so many others who have had the same experience, all from something as simple as art. And so this is a student that takes advantage of our programming at South Haven Center for the Arts. And I think I have some more quotes to share in the next slide. But what you'll see is this is being said over and over and over again by the families that are taking a part of our programming. And so I think that that's really powerful to share with you all, which is what I did. So if you can, and this is some pictures I wanted to include. So the last picture was Izzy with Sarah, one of our teachers. And then these are different students. So what you'll see is we have some students that took advantage of, that's the open studio. They're making masks there. Then we have our guitar at Luke's Light, and then we have our cooking class at South Haven. And then we can head to the next slide. And that's it. So thank you all so much. And I'm opening it up to questions if you have any. Yeah.
I couldn't have imagined that this would go so well. We're so grateful for all your work, and the students are just enjoying themselves. It's so wonderful our county can do this. So I really appreciate that. I wanted to ask a couple questions.
Sure.
Who do you work with at Bronson? Since Chris Flood has retired, is it Isabel?
Yes, I work
She's
very closely with
wonderful.
Isabel. Isabel Hitton. Yes.
Yes, she goes into the schools. Also, the transportation, is that from the county buses? And
Currently,
do we pay them or they just do it?
they do it for free for us.
That's
So
great.
that's a great savings.
Savings.
Yes, and I'm looking to expand that. So if anybody that's from county transit that wants to talk to me, I'm willing to talk.
And do you have with the I think the comic book
Yes.
program,
Mhm.
are you working with the South Haven Library with Jen LaRue also on that?
I'm not currently. I did meet with the South Haven Library and I talked about a potential collab. That is with our teaching artist, Audrey Rogers. She's a professor at KVCC, and she does different programming for middle school and high schoolers in the summer. And so that's where that collab is coming from. But I did talk to the library, and I'm open to collabing, that collaboration continuing through the work that they're doing.
All right, thank you.
And I do want to say also for our Bangor class, so Simpson United Methodist is our primary partner, but we're also working with Project Shine. They are out of the ISD, but they help families within the county and Isabel does this work too, but healthy eating, nutrition, moving. So we're trying to make sure that the food that we're teaching our students to cook are things that they can buy at the grocery store, find the ingredients at the grocery store, and then make it at home for their families. So I just wanted to highlight that partnership as well. So,
Thank you
yep.
so much.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I think you're meeting all our expectations.
Thank you.
Thanks for the good job. And any thoughts, or been doing anything as far as funding from other resources or from schools? Where's that at?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. So I did just, a funding source came to the ISD and asked for us to write on projects. It's specific for capital things that you need. And so I did write for that. And then I did offer it to some other partners like Loops Light and people that need specific things. So we submitted that as an opportunity to fund some other fun things that we want to do. For example, what I wrote for, I really wanted to buy iPads for both locations, and then a software called Procreate, which is like a graphic design software that I thought would be really cool. And they utilize that software at Van Buren Tech in their graphic design and their print media classrooms. So I thought that it would be a cool way to have students start to use that. If they decide they want to go into that, they have experience in doing that, but just a way to get that technology in the hands of our students. There are a few larger grants that I am looking at and working towards. I was just talking to Gail before the meeting actually started, but I've made some connections with some people who have received those larger grants through the state of Michigan. And I'm meeting with them in the next couple of weeks to just see how are they utilizing those funds? Is it something that we could do here in Van Buren County? What we're doing, is it meeting those goals of that funding, or do we need to expand things to make sure that we're hitting the mark to continue the work that we're doing? So I'm working on it, and it's always in my mind. So if that helps with anything, yeah. Any other questions? I also want to say real quick, the reason why we're able to do this work really goes back to the partnerships that we have. So South Haven Center for the Arts and Luke's Light, they play a pretty large role in being able to do this. It would be very difficult for the ISD to try to create this without such great partners. So I just want to highlight that we really love our partners. So
For the programs March, April, and May, what age is our
absolutely.
involved in that?
So primarily our age groups are for our 6th through 12th grade students. That's what we've been working on currently. So that's what the 3 programming, stop motion, comic book, and media will be. That's the age group we're working on. We do, however, at South Haven Center for the Arts, for our open studio, we allow 8 to 16 is that age group that we're working with there. So we have broadened it a little bit for our younger students, but primarily we're still looking at our 6th through 12th graders. Yes, Kim.
I know one of the original parts of the program was to be the mentors. I know Loops Light has great mentors. At the Center for the Arts, I know a lot of the artists there, they're wonderful. Are you engaging the Van Buren Community Mental Health at all to train train the mentors?
So
people who are working with.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And that is a goal of ours. We haven't done anything directly yet. Well, I guess I can't really say that. We have, but not in a direct way. So for example, the Community Mental Health does QPR, which is question, persuade, refer. Yeah. And it's a suicide prevention curriculum. And so Luke's Light had already been trained in that. But South Haven Center for the Arts, so their director, Carrie Haggy, did take advantage of that training. And I'm working towards offering more training, but we're still in that building phase. And what you'll see too in this report, the presentation was a snippet. And if you read the report and have questions, please feel free to reach out. But what you'll see is we don't have a lot of quantitative data. We haven't done a lot of surveying of our students that have taken advantage of programming. So I included the letters from parents and students as a way to show that it's affecting it, because there hasn't really been enough time to gather that data to see how it's affecting our students as far as like attendance and how they're feeling and things like that. But I'm working towards that, and I'm hopeful in the next report that I offer you all will have some of that data to share.
Yep.
So
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any other? Yes.
Oh, I love that quote from that mom that said, want to get this right, I'm gonna use it.
yeah,
Gave her the confidence to fail.
yeah,
I mean, that almost makes me want.
it's powerful. I have to tell you,
We all fail a lot more than we
we
succeed.
do, and you have to learn how to fail in order to be successful. That's really
Very
what it
good.
comes down to. So I thought that was why it was so important to print these, to bring these letters to show you all in the community that the work that needs to happen to create successful people is happening in our programming. And so I hope that's what you gather from my report. And if you have any questions, or if you'd like to come and see what's happening, the door is always welcome. So I know Luke's Light has invited several people to come. South Haven Center for the Arts has invited. So if you'd ever like to come, please feel free to reach out to me and I can help coordinate that. So.
And just a little kudos for Aaron specifically, but what the ISD is doing. And this was a wisdom that exceeded my personal outlook a couple of years ago. But the coordination that a year and a half ago, some of the what felt like pie in the sky ideas were like, man, I don't know how that can happen. I don't know how that can. But she just keeps connecting more dots every week and every month. And slowly but surely, all this connectivity is forming, and it's helping a lot. And it's becoming, it is, and it continues to become in my opinion, a very good use of the money
Thank you.
because of all that connectivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of evolving.
Yes, yes. And that was a piece that was really important to me whenever I took the position. The thought that we could do this by ourselves, that Luke's Light could do it by themselves, and that South Haven Center for the Arts could do it. I'm sure you could do it by yourself, but it would be hard and frankly a disservice to the community of all of Van Buren County, because when we connect and we work together, we create something that's bigger and better. So
What's the thought process expanding some of the other, I guess I want to say school districts?
yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. So I'm glad you talked about it. I am very close to entering in a partnership with a group in Hartford that has a community center that they're already doing some of this after school work. They're doing some of the after school work. I had a conversation with them because I knew of the building at the beginning of my time in this role. And I said, what are you gonna do with your building? And they were like, we don't know. So then they started doing after school programming. And so we've been in communication and we're working on a partnership so that I can help create and help coordinate some of that foundational stuff that needs to happen so they can continue to do the work. And then I would love to get into the north side of the county, Gobles, Bloomingdale area. I'm not sure how yet, but I'm working on that. So, but that is a goal of mine, is to expand so we can have east and west and then south and north. So,
Thank you.
yep, absolutely. Any other questions?
Any other comments? I'd just like to say that wonderful report.
Thank you.
Couldn't be happier. I think back about the months that we, worked on this. And I guess I'd like to give kudos to the commissioners for kind of hanging in there and working on this until we figured out something that we thought would work, that we could all support. And so, good job, commissioners.
Round of applause for that. I will leave these letters. I have a letter from the mom that I read a quote from, and then this is from the director of South Haven Center for the Arts. And then this is a small snippet from the student that I talked about. She wrote this herself, so just keep that in mind.
Great,
Thank you all so much.
thank you.
Yeah, I think back to my earlier days when I was in high school, and I graduated in 1965. And in 1964,
That's
our-
what I
our-
said. Wow.
Yeah, 1965, yeah,
That slates back then.
that was a good year. Anyway, in '64, our class got together and we decided that we were going to do something for after school activities. And we formed a group called the Young Americans. And I remember when we formed that the local veterans organizations wanted to make sure that we were not associated with the Young Americans that were formed in the 30s that were communists. And I assured them that we weren't. And it did not work. It, fell apart within probably about a year. I was elected as president of that. And it fell apart in about a year because we didn't have transportation, we didn't have communication. We just didn't have any way to coordinate and make the thing work effectively. I mean, these were back in the days when, if you wanted to communicate, you printed off a flyer and you stuck it on somebody's window. And, we just didn't have any good way to do it. We did pull off a couple of dances and things like that. But our goal was the same as what we have here, was to provide after-school activities for the youth. So I am in particular just pleased as I could be to hear this report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, buildings and grounds,
Okay, the first item is something that was on the capital improvement project list. It's already been budgeted for $35,000. It's a replacement of carpet in South Haven Courthouse. It's been at least 30 years since the carpet project they had new carpeting there. So again, the budgeted amount was $35,000. The bid has come in over $10,000 less than that. So I would move to approve that we move ahead with carpeting South Haven Courthouse.
Second.
Motion was second. Conversation. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried.
And again, another project. John's doing a great job getting everything ticked off the list. Replacement of siding on the administration building. We've already approved for the windows to take place. It would be a good time while they're doing that to also do the siding. The Leicester exteriors could do both of those projects. The good news is that this what we budgeted, we can save over $95,000. The bid was for less than that. So for the windows, so then some of that can be applied to the siding. Is that the way it's working?
Yes,
Okay.
and then also, the siding was also a request on the CIP, which was approved for $40,000. So we're actually under budget for the windows and the siding, and then we still have the $40,000 for the siding replacement money on the ARPA. So we're way out of the curve here.
Good job on
So
getting
thanks.
bids and move forward. So I would also move that we move forward with this project.
Support.
Motion was support, discussion. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, opposed, no. Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything today, Paul, finance?
No.
Okay.
No finance report today.
We'll move on to number 10, labor. We're gonna take this for Anna. Okay, hello, Anna.
Hello, I have a couple, there was just a small update to the policy after they were in for the Earned Sick Time Act. I don't know if you guys have seen that all over the news. They were in deliberations until about midnight, I think the night before I had to go into effect. So I've been working with our labor attorney on getting that updated, and it was just, I highlighted it on the second page. The only thing that changed from the policy that was attached for this agenda was that there's a 120-day waiting period for new hires to use this time, which is good, especially for our seasonal and part-time workers. Are you guys familiar? Do you want me to give you a brief overview of the Earned Sick Time Act? Okay. Previously, there was a paid medical leave act in the state of Michigan that we had to provide 1 hour for every 35 worked of time off to part-time employees. Now it's been changed to 1 hour for every 30 worked up to 72 hours a year. The catch with this time off is you can't ask for any specifics, like specific documentation. They can use it for, and the qualifying reasons for illness, mental illness, injury, health condition, to care of a family member, to care of a family member of domestic violence. It goes through all sorts of things. So with that, we had a few options. We could either have a separate bank, which is what everybody was leaning towards in the beginning, all the webinars and stuff that we had attended. Everything is now shifted to, if you already provide more than that 72 hours of PTO, to just combine it in one PTO bank to make it easier to just manage and maintain and avoid any potential abuse as well. So to me, when I read it, it kind of reminds me of like FMLA leave. That's kind of how we do for our FMLA policies. If they use FMLA and they had time off your PTO, it's coded that way. It's just still out of their PTO bank, but it still gives them that job protection coverage.
Move to approve.
Support. Motion with support, discussion. All those in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried.
And then I have one more. This comes, I would say it's a collab effort between admin, HR, and finance. We haven't had many days where we've had to close this year, but quite a few. There have been a lot of, I would say, areas that we could have strengthened our policy on our closure policy. The intent of this policy has always been for the safety and well-being of not only our staff, but the community that we serve. We've run into quite a few instances of employees trying to monetize off of this policy, and instead of getting their freebie day off, they're also working on top of that, and they think they should get the free hours plus whatever time they worked, and that's just not the intent of the policy. So it's very similar to what it was. It just kind of takes away any loopholes and makes it very clear that this is for your safety. If you work any additional, we're not requiring you to. That's kind of on you. But like the sheriff's office, obviously there's 24/7 operations, and they continue to proceed as they normally would.
If I can add a couple of comments. So thanks for putting this together, and I know talking with Becky about it too. And it falls on me to get up early in the morning and talk with dispatch and the sheriff's office and Brett, the road commission. And the closure or even a delay is not taken lightly, and it's for the health, safety, and welfare of not just our employees, but for the citizens who might come use our services. And it can be disruptive for the courts, especially. So it's not a decision that's taken lightly. It's taken again for the safety of all those involved. And this has been a question throughout my administrators association throughout the state, and our policy is very similar. It usually falls on the administrator, do the communications with everyone, contact the chair, and see if that's the right decision to make. And it's not to give someone a free day off so much as it is protect the safety of it. And for someone to want to get paid and take advantage of that over and above they're already getting paid just is not done anymore, and so that's what the state administrators throughout the state are asking. And I don't, we joke about it because I'm as cheap as they come, and I say we're only going to close if Walmart closes, and everyone laughs at me, and the next thing you know, we have a blizzard. There's one county that simply had got tired of this and said, we're not closing unless there's a state of emergency declared by the governor. And that's because they're tired of this stuff. And, we don't want to do that. We want to be fair. We want to be safe. But again, as Anna said, people shouldn't get monetized for working when we're closing for safety reasons. And, if people want to work, then that's great, but it's not getting paid double for that. And we saw those instances and more this year than in the past, which was interesting to me. And I just feel strongly that we need to bring this to the board, and it's ultimately your choice, but that's our recommendation to you, is to adopt this policy and make it clear that the people who choose to work aren't going to get paid extra because, in one aspect, fairness to the deputies out there on the road, they don't get paid extra for working. That's their job.
I'm starting to get a clearer picture of this, which is a little saddening, but, so, a couple questions. When we have an emergency day or whatever, when you've determined that we're not gonna be able to come to work, are we not paying the employees for that day?
We are.
We are paying the
Yeah.
employees just like it's a regular day.
Yeah.
So some employees said pay me more,
Yes.
okay? Alright,
This just
strange need
clarifies,
for a policy. But,
but this clarifies that we're not doing.
Yeah,
okay. Okay,
like, just for example, the weather delay we opened at noon. Somebody came in at 11:30 and they thought they should be compensated for the extra half hour. Just little things like that.
And it takes, I don't know, I mean, don't,
okay.
whatever. We have to argue, it takes time out of us to argue the point to people.
Well, at first I'm thinking to myself, boy, that's pretty rotten, that we're not paying people because of a snow day.
Right.
Some
But we
places
are
do that.
paying people on a snow
Yes.
day,
Yeah, but some
Yeah,
counties
just
do
like-
that where they have to use their PTO if we have a snow day.
really?
So
Well, we-
it's very generous. No, we're very generous. But like you pointed out, there's people in the trenches, like literally out in the snow working and they're making straight time pay.
This clarifies, it clarifies everything so that, like you said, you don't have to argue every case. Refer them back to policy.
Yes.
But a little further clarification, and I'll just shut up, because I know I'm swimming in water, I probably shouldn't. But, so, we're unable to come here, we're not requiring or expecting anyone to do their responsibilities for that day because they're at home. Like, they're not required to still work.
That's correct. But they're not.
It's the expectation is they will not.
That's correct.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I don't want people driving in here and work.
Well, right, of course.
I mean, that's the whole point of it. And if someone chooses to work at home, because they're good workers,
Thank you.
and that's awesome, I
Good,
appreciate
staying
it.
on top.
And it is our policy that,
Understood. Understood.
it is our policy that the board chair makes the final decision. And what happens is exactly the way John explained it. Talks to the road commission, he talks to the state police, and then he calls me.
Well,
And I
I've
just,
gotten a couple of those dings in the morning as the vice chair.
yeah.
I do spend on this, what should I do?
I'll let Randy handle
So
that.
I can't ever imagine not agreeing with the police and the road commission, which obviously I don't think anyone ever has. But that's the way that it works. It goes up to the board chair and then that person says yay or nay. Okay, we need a motion then. Accept this.
I'll move to approve this policy.
Support.
Motion with support, discussion. All those in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Anything today, Kurt?
No, nothing public transit.
Okay, and veteran services, obviously Mike is not here today. We did have some activity that I wanted to report to you. And that is that the state of Michigan has decided to claw back about 87% of the grant money that they gave to us. And it was, I think, around $67,000 in total, and they're taking back 87% of it. And each county is being affected differently. The amount that they're taking back ranges from 40% to 100%. And all the counties in Michigan are being affected by this in one category or the other. No explanation was given for it. And in talking with our manager, David, yesterday, a lot of counties, which I knew this was true, were using that grant money to pay for the VSO. And so now there's going to be a number of counties that have VSOs. I don't know if there's any in our area that are going to fall into that. but I expect that we'll see an uptick in activity, because of that. As far as programs that it will affect, there is enough money to fund the dental program, which is one of our major programs. But with another 50,000 allocated towards that, we do have the funds to meet that commitment. But afterwards, we don't. So we'll be discussing this, later on as far as, what we're going to do going forward. There was no reason given for this by the state of Michigan, other than they're just doing it. And it was done via email last week. So we'll keep you posted as that unfolds, but that's where we're at right now.
And
Yeah.
these are, I can't remember, these are state monies, not. federal.
Yes.
So it's not the federal contract,
No.
not even.
Nothing to do with the federal government.
Okay.
It's all state money. And they said in their email that they realize they're gonna be short on their budget, so they're doing it. And it was kind of an interesting email to read, but. So we're okay as far as the immediate concern. As far as any of our programs, we're okay with all of that. But going forward, I don't know what's. So that's the update on veteran services. Anything you want to add to that, John?
No, David's done a very good job. He explained to me the budget impacts. So his operations funded by this grant, the MVAA, Michigan Veterans Administrative Affairs, I think. And so he's cutting back on the promotional things that aren't directly applicable to services. I think that what emotion ESA, emotional service animal, I think that's the acronym, he has funds from donations to cover that for this year. And thank goodness for the the voter approved millage that will get us through this. And that's the other major component. So that's why we can still afford to pay our VSOs and the dental program. It's just coming halfway through the year, which is kind of odd. I mean, it's one thing if they said next year we're cutting it so you can plan for it. But David's done kudos to him. He's done a very good job managing his budget, that we can absorb this without impacting services other than marketing items is probably the biggest.
So we'll still be looking for a third VSO?
At this point, yes.
And that was the same, the grant you're referring to, that is the one that you're talking about. Like, that's what's been cut.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, any other conversation on that? Okay, we'll move on then. Number 13, road commissioner.
Well, if you want to talk about cuts, we can talk about that all day long, but that's financial perspective, because we get cut a lot. All right, there is, you have an update on there going in front of you. Our board did award the contract to Scott Civil Engineering for the new bridge in Waverly Township, which has been on the list for about 15 years to get done. Nice thing about Scott Civil Engineering, they have the contract to inspect all of our bridges, so they know it quite well, and their price came in about half of the second bidder.
Wow.
So that part is good. So that'll help us out. May not seem like a big deal, but going out for gas bids is a huge deal for our organization. Last month, I think we spent $30,000 just on fuel to keep all the plows going out there. And like John, we communicate in the morning. I think the one morning I surprised you.
Yeah, you did.
When I'm like, because usually my staff doesn't call unless it's like beyond bad. And they text me pretty early and like, this is the worst we've seen. That was the ice storm that had come through that day. But we get a lot of bidders to provide us fuel. You can see the winning bidders. Obviously, Lawrence is a facility that uses the most fuel, then Bloomingdale, and then Bangor. So keeping it most of it in house, which is really good. Below, he has some fuel costs for projects that we do. Seal coat and fog seal is a big deal, as you know. We did 244 miles last year out of 1,300, actually 1,100 paved road miles. Slag is the cheaper of the two. More townships are moving to trap rock, which is more expensive. That went up 12%. I think slag went up about 3 or 4. Trap rock is a flatter rock, and it's a quieter when you drive over it, and it actually adheres to the fog seal a lot better too. So Again, most townships have moved in that direction. Deberming, you want to scroll down on that. Deberming is when you go alongside of the road and you see them lifting off the dirt off the side so it can drain. And so before we seal coat and fog seal roads, we try to go through and deberm them too, so to make it last as long as we can. Probably the biggest change we'll have this year is we're not deberming on hills. I don't know the exact incline, because that seems to create washouts and never comes back. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then gravel, we still have 200 some miles of gravel road. That price has stayed the same for the townships. We only have 2 miles of gravel road on a county-wide system. And this year we are offering townships that they want to start what's called double seal coat and gravel roads, as long as they're not sitting on water in essence. Then you'll see that starting this year. It could take between 1 and 4 years, depending on the ditches and the trees and all that other stuff. But some townships have made it their goal not to have any gravel roads anymore. So we did it for Village of Manawan this past fall. They had one section that was gravel and asked us to double seal coat. If it's not a heavily traveled road, you can get 5-10 years off of it. Biggest problem is when people go out and get into 4-wheelers and they do donuts, that can tear it up in a hurry. We had that happen last year, and I know we called the sheriff. I think they ended up finding who it was too. Then on the bottom, we bought a new front end loader. I don't know if that goes all the way to the bottom on your spreadsheet there. That was only $300 and some thousand, but we've taken our we've taken delivery of our plow trucks already for a year and our pickups, which is really good. And unfortunately for us, the pickups a little bit was Tapper again, so that's really nice. There is some chatter coming out of Lansing about trying to help us, all road commissions, whether it's the city, village, MDOT, or counties, on funding. They both have kind of come to an agreement on a dollar amount, but getting there is two opposite paths. I mean, as opposite as you can get. One is increase taxes, one is make cuts. There's no talk about anything in the middle. If it would happen, it would increase our funding about 50%, which would take us from about 12 million to 16, 18 million, which would help out. Probably won't happen that high. I think we've all been around long enough. If you can't agree at all on the path and neither party has control, it may take a lot for that to happen. So we're hoping it does. Bids are going out for all of our projects that we have coming up. County Road 388, Red Arrow Highway, from the fairgrounds to the Hartford city limits. It is not as bad as Red Arrow Highway in front of Waterloo High School. We're getting calls on it. Had a guy at the grocery store today hit me up on that one. I'm like, oh, you call Berrien County on that one. And then frost law. Last year it didn't go into effect because it never really got that cold. It's gonna kick in Friday at 6 a.m. So we got press releases heading out. Might be out all right by the time I get back, or at least tomorrow morning. We've already gotten phone calls from the power plants, things like that, with their loads. So there's a process. They can pay a fee to go on the road with heavier weights, and we'll have that going out mainly to the power companies, whether it's a gas plant or Palisades, because they're bringing in some heavy loads right now. Happy to answer any questions if you have any. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We're at our last public comment. Is there any public comment?
I had a question. I'm sure all of you have gotten the request from Farm Bureau, meet with them.
Yeah.
That's something that you can get a hold of and kind of come up with it, like all of us just calling them and randomly saying, I'll just do that day.
Yeah, if you're interested, we can work with, if you're listening, Mike, she can help kind of coordinate your schedules with them.
Yeah, just it'd be easier than all 7 of us calling us. Meet with us.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I had that on my list too. And my feeling is that if they want to talk to us, they should come here.
They're giving us treats out there.
Well, bring the treats.
Oh, bring it.
But that's my feeling, is that they should come here. If they want to invite us to go to their annual or something, that's fine. But if they want to give us a distinct presentation, they should come, schedule and come to a commission meeting.
But
I'm happy to do whatever.
I guess ask them what their thoughts are.
Well, if we went to their meeting, we can't all go because then we've got more than
That's a good point.
3 commissioners, so.
It's not, we're not deliberating for anything, it's just for,
Yeah, but I think if we know, don't we still have to?
it's not our meeting. I don't see that there'd be an issue with.
Well, whether it's our meeting or not, if 4 commissioners get together. I mean, that's a quorum. So that's supposed to be advertised. Point.
You know, that's a good point. Looking, I did see the copy of their email and it seemed like what they were asking was some policy answers. And that, I think that might be a issue, a forum issue. But if they wanted, it meant it was a 2-hour meeting, so I don't, if they invited you to their annual meeting as a group, I think that's fine, but maybe I should clarify what their intent is.
The way I responded was just, I let everybody else chime in and tell me what dates are good and we can go from there, that's fine. That can be flexible.
Try to find out more information.
But if they're asking us to enact a policy or support something or whatever, they're asking us to take some sort of action. That should be done in a public meeting here.
I'm working from memory, wasn't it? They wanted to know what the county's doing on behalf of the agricultural community, something like that.
That was part of it.
Was it?
Yeah.
Again, working from memory.
Yeah, it just says, we'd like to discuss various agricultural issues impacting our county, give your insights as well.
It just sounds like they want to inform us so that we're better, we understand the agricultural climate of Van Buren County.
I think it's just, it's not gonna be a meeting, their board meetings, us and.
Well, find out more than 3 commissioners go to that or not, without it being advertised. My understanding is that we have more than 3 commissioners, that's quorum, and that means that we have to get the open meetings.
Well, that would certainly accommodate it. We would post it.
Yeah.
This meeting.
But we would have to do.
Thanks, John.
Any other public comment? Motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved. Board.
Moved and supported, all those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no, motion carried. Let's take 5 and we'll start the POC at the 2:45.
I guarantee you.
That was my question.
Yes, on fire. Yes.
Okay, noting a time of quarter after 2, I'd like to call the February 25, 2025 Board of Commissioners to order. And please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, as we begin our BOC meeting, we pause to give you thanks. You are the source of love and life, hope and peace. We pray that we as commissioners join in loving Van Buren County that we call home, just as you love this place and its people. Amen.
Call, please.
Commissioner Patterson Gladney, District 1.
Present?
Commissioner Chapel, District 2. Commissioner Doro, District 3.
Present.
Commissioner DeStefano, District 4. Commissioner Peace, District 5.
Present.
Commissioner Leary, District 6.
Here.
Commissioner Shinkirio, District 7.
Present.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? There is one change to the agenda, and that is we're going to have our private session first, and then we'll get into the rest of it. So, motion to approve would be in order.
I move that we approve the agenda with the change of the private session being first.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Do any commissioners or members of the public want to request any item to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing nothing, then we'll go to our closed session. And we'll need a roll call vote for that.
Let me help you with the motion, if I may. I've shared this with Beth already, but the recommendation is for the board to go into closed session pursuant to section 8E of the Open Meetings Act to consult with our attorney regarding settlement strategy in connection with pending litigation. I'm not making a motion that someone, one of you.
Yes.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, conversation. All those in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Roll call.
And then we need a roll call.
Yeah, we do.
Commissioner Patterson Gladney.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Commissioner Chapel. Commissioner Doro.
Yes.
Commissioner DeStefano. Commissioner Peace.
Yes.
Commissioner Leary.
Yes.
Commissioner Shinkirio.
Yes.
I don't believe so. I mean, if we did it in open session, we're not dictated by Zoom. We only do that for a courtesy.
Okay. All right, then, next item would be, David and, number 11. You're taking that for him, right?
Well, this is what we just discussed earlier, the PTO policy update or the ETSA and the changes in our PTO policy that she described at the committee of the whole. And the recommendation is to approve the updated PTO policy and eliminate policy, well, I have the number here, BBC 0.05.002 and eliminate policy BBC 0.05.003 to align with updated requirements of the Michigan Earned Sick Time Act at today's meeting.
But so move.
Support?
Moved and supported, discussion. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried.
And similarly, this was discussed at the committee of the whole, and the recommendation is to approve the building closures policy as presented at the committee of the whole meeting.
So move.
Support?
Moved and supported, discussion. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion carried. Yeah,
You're welcome.
anything further today, Kurt? Public transit
Nope, nothing.
and veteran services, fill in for Mike. Nothing further there. We're at Commissioners Roundtable. We'll start with Paul.
Just an update, we, looks like they hold their, an annual fundraiser that went quite well. And, 1, 2, 3 students performed. And, it went well. So, and attendance is up in the new building. That has drawn more attention. Interestingly enough, it's probably, the numbers are up a little bit overall. And of those numbers, half of the kids are the same. And that were attending previously in the other location. But at least half of them are, so by virtue of being up, a little more than half of them are completely new students. So they're, you know, the goal is to recapture some of the kids that haven't returned for whatever reason, but a whole new chunk of kids have shown up and they've stayed. You know, that's the key. If one comes 3 times, you're there for a long time. First 1 or 2 lessons, you know, it's always a little dicey, but the retention rate's pretty darn good.
Good.
Yeah.
Having a new spot, is that making it more convenient or open?
Something, yeah, something. I mean, exactly why I could guess, but the reality is, yeah, it's brought some new kids in.
That's such a wonderful location
That's great.
for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
But, man, it's perfect.
Well, she was describing how in South Haven, they've got transportation to the art center because it's proximity to the high school. I mean, this is across the street from the middle school. So, and the buses take kids between the high school and middle school all day long. Well, at the end of the day. So that part's really simple. You know, then Madelon, some other areas, you know, there's a little bit of logistical stuff to work out there as the days expand, but it's pretty good.
I just wish you'd get a donut making class in there, because I used to stop in there.
That's a heck of an idea.
Steve, at that location, would there ever be a time when it's like, hey, the person at the seams, we can't take anymore?
Sure.
I mean, what would
I mean,
that?
probably not.
What would those numbers look like?
Well, we've got 12 kids in a class, and there's 3 classrooms. That's what, I mean, 36 kids comfortably in a unit without it. But ultimately, I like to see it operate 4 days a week, so 36 times 4, what's that? I don't know. I'll get those fancy computers to figure that one out. So I'm sure that'd be a great problem to have, but probably not right away. You know,
Is middle school, is that sixth, seventh, and eighth, or is it fifth, sixth, seventh?
6, 7.
Okay. Grandson, music.
You know, that's 140 kids without. In about 2
That's
months.
close.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else, Paul?
Antwerp Township was one of those townships without a dirt road. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Are you kidding?
Just got rid of the last one. Not got rid, you know, dirt roads are fine. I don't mean to bag on dirt roads or gravel roads, but there was an important thing that the township wanted and they've achieved it.
Where was it?
I don't know, it wasn't my road.
Interesting.
That's what I know for a fact. Beyond that, I couldn't really tell you.
Okay, is that it?
That's it, thank you.
Yeah,
Nothing's coming to mind right now.
okay. Yeah,
I went to the city of South Haven, Culver Township. I visited several events for Black History Month. One was at the South Haven Township Hall and one's at the Culver High School. And then I went to SWIMBA meeting, plus they had training for those who are new, that committee, and then the MAC, Health and Human Services Committee. And they are also looking for items of interest for future meetings. One of them they may discuss is what is the effect of the fact that the United States withdrew from the WHO, World Health Organization, I believe, and how is that going to affect counties? Because it's one big world and viruses can come over here and who's tracking everything. So we're going to maybe have a speaker on that. And that's all I have.
I had a Zoom meeting with one of the new boards I'm on, state level with Matt. And kind of interesting, we discussed materials management. There was a spokesperson there from Eagle. And we got done with that call, and a while later we found out that they're changing the way they're funding it. So down to where, so they're supposed to be paying money up front, but now they're not gonna pay it till afterwards, if it happens. So anyhow, that was kind of, yeah. The other thing was today at our Southwest Michigan Planning Commission meeting, just wanted to announce that, we have, I think there's 6 people from the county that are on that board, and 7. And Rick Catherman, Sandy Hansen, Gail, and myself received a perfect attendance for 2024. So,
congratulations, and thank you.
that's all I have.
Okay, one AI update for you. A friend of mine is that I served with overseas is an author, and he published a book a while ago about our experiences, and he's getting ready to update his book. And so he contacted some of the publishers to get quotes from them for editing the book, which is just spelling errors, grammar. And so he got a quote back for $8,000, and which is, I guess, kind of normal. And so he thought he'd try something different. So he had his book in all digital form. So he asked AI to go in and correct grammar and spelling of his book. In 1 second, he had the results back, and it was perfect. So I mean, when I hear things like that,
Well, maybe it was.
I'll bring them to you. It's just another example of how AI is going to be, affecting all of us, and it is already every day, but it's just going to get more and more and more.
Guess what those companies that were quoted him $8,000 were gonna do as soon as they got his manuscript?
Yeah.
Hit the button.
Yeah.
There were no poor eyes sitting there reading through those things anymore.
So on
No
that,
offense.
on that same issue, there was a group, Alero group, that through PBS and other sources made a movie about a documentary about our experiences over there. And they interviewed a lot of us. And I guess I'm in the movie.
Oh, movies.
And we're gonna have the premiere showing of the movie on the deck of the United States Midway aircraft carrier in San Diego in March next month. And so I've been invited to go out and attend the premiere.
Great.
So,
Can I get your autograph?
well, of course you can.
Can you take an entourage? Can you take an entourage? Yes.
So,
Is there a name to this yet?
yeah, there is. I don't remember what it is. I'll let you know.
Yeah, find out.
I'll find out how you
It was
get.
like times of Randy.
Yeah, Life and Times of Randy.
That's really, so
1960.
Yeah, yeah, 1965.
what's it, is it about Vietnam
Yes.
specifically?
Oh, okay.
And it covers the years 68 and 69,
Wow, that's great.
which are the years that I was there. So it'll be interesting. I guess there's a lot of dignitaries, it's an invitation only event. And I guess there's gonna be all kinds of people there.
That's neat.
You know, they've got a invitation out to the new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
Mhm.
Whether or not he's gonna go, the feeling is he probably will. So I'll let you know later how it all goes. It's just, you know, something that happened. And looking forward to going. And that's really about all I had. Anybody? Yeah.
Two things. One,
Yeah.
you brought up AI.
Yes.
We did have an AI meeting today. And we've got 99% of a policy written to be presented to us in
Oh,
a couple of
good.
weeks.
Great.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's buttoned up pretty nicely. You know, we were pretty strongly focused on making sure that AI didn't get a hold of sensitive information it shouldn't have. So a lot of human oversight and roadblocks to that happening. And then just making sure that it has not removed the responsibility of humans to make the final call on anything.
Yes.
That was a big deal for us. So that'll be coming now, and incidentally, a lot of the way the final policy was written was put through AI.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it was kind of, and it was well done. I mean, it was, they used our meeting, our conversations and whatnot, and boiled it down and put it in a policy, and we didn't have to change much of it at all.
Plus the agreement with St. Joe Company.
Yeah, he does some work with St. Joe,
Right.
and they want his expertise. But we realize it's gonna detract from our focus, so there's gonna be an agreement that we feel pretty good about. So it's a
Okay,
good
good.
starting point. And it keeps us as a leader, you know, within the region for things which I know we like to do. And I'm only bringing this up because you reminded me of this, and it's really a little bit off the grid, but it warms my heart personally, and I wouldn't mind sharing it with you guys. You're talking about this documentary. So
Yes.
at our event, and my son had mentioned this to me very briefly several weeks ago, but I had completely forgotten about it. But there was a man with I don't remember what it's called, a boom camera, one of those cameras that stays stabilized, professional equipment. So a guy that was filming us on the tour of the new building, filming some events and some stuff going on. And my son introduced him. He is the director of the film department at Michigan State University. And he was, which, little backstory, my son Luke would have been in that department. And this would have been his senior year. So we like to imagine that he would have literally been working on this project with this director of film. This director, completely independent of anything going on with Luke or this show, is doing a documentary on magicians in Michigan. So he ended up getting a hold of my oldest son, who was a pretty accomplished magician who got started in Colon, Michigan, you know, when he was 14. And by the way, probably most of us don't know this. I'm just learning it over the years. Michigan's a hotbed for magicians. Like a lot of accomplished world-class magicians have come out of Michigan, which isn't that weird when you think about it. We got, you know, 9 months of winter, And, you know, it's not like we're out there surfing or, you know, doing all that kind of cool stuff. So, just a lot of coincidences resulted in this guy spending the whole evening with us filming, ostensibly because of this magician, Trino. But it was really neat to contemplate that it could very well have been Luke's project. Yeah, so it was neat. Go like, yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, but it was fun.
Yes.
In the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission today, John Engelhoff mentioned that they are working on AI policies too. Tina, I'm not sure, Kurt, were you there when he mentioned that?
Yeah, that's, I was gonna mention too.
Yeah. So there's some more information that we can.
And they were
follow up.
gonna use it as a resource for those that are looking to make
Policies,
policies, so kind of a recommendation.
And then the last thing is, I don't know if I can do it or not, invite everybody who wants to come to my retirement party at the library, March 29th.
Giving away free books.
I'm starting a new chapter in my life.
Yeah, she
So-
made the headlines and everything in the paper, front page.
Oh.
Yeah, right up on the top.
Oh.
$5, isn't it?
Yeah, all right. Good for you.
So since 2001. So. Yeah, so
Where's
I
it
have a
gonna
little
be
more,
at?
huh?
Where's it gonna be?
At the South Haven Memorial Library, 314 Broadway. And I believe it's from 11 to 2. You just come into the library. You don't have to bring gifts. If anyone wants to donate, they can donate to their favorite charity or donate to the library for library staff. And that's it.
Anybody have anything else? One last comment back on AI, discussing it so much here. And that is, in order for AI to work, the information that you're asking them to go through or analyze, whatever, needs to be a digital form, in electronic form. And I found it very interesting that some of the reports that are coming back from DOGE they're finding that some of the federal systems are just unbelievably still pencil and paper. So they can't bring AI to bear on this thing because there is no electronic data, to analyze and review. And the interesting part was that this is done on purpose, in their opinion. So, who knows where it's all going to take us, but AI is certainly going to be in the center of our lives. Anyone have anything else that they'd like to bring? Okay, do we have any board correspondence? Okay. Then we are at our last public comment of the day. Is there any? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Being able to speak. My name is Jeff Rowe, the record. My daughter is a magician, started about at the age 3, I think.
Really?
Around there. She loves doing it. She doesn't put on her shows as much as we had to sit through them as we used to. But yeah, I didn't know Michigan was a hotbed
Yeah,
for
there are.
a magician. That's amazing. So.
A lot of professional musicians that have started in Michigan.
Well, Golden, Michigan is kind of the center of it all.
Well, to quote, sorry to take.
No, go ahead.
To quote, refrigerator magnet that I got there a few years ago. If you haven't been through Colon, you ain't.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Go Green again.
No,
They did good Friday night. I'm also a U of M because they saved my life or whatever. But
that's a big deal.
I'd like to say kudos to this young lady here. I think her name was Erin Kucharski. I thought that was absolutely amazing. I never knew that was happening, and I think she deserves any funding she desires to do what she's doing because that's so great. And I'd like to know the title of your movie so I can watch it because I love those kind of movies and I look forward to watching it. That's all I have. Have a great evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get that back. Any other public comment? Okay, third and last time, any public comment? We are at adjournment. Motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Or,
Moved and supported. All those in favor, yes?
yes.
Yes, opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Well,
It's cool, any guy.
Extra.
do you have any more meetings today?
After Eric.
Oh, yeah.